Hello folks, and for those following me flying my old rear helicopters in this series, know that I invented the Hyperfly 2 and 3 channel helicopters for Kyosho. This was at a time after I developed the first electric tail rotor motor for Ishimasa in Japan using the very first production electric helicopter, the Skylarky H1, which I became a distributor of. I'm going to explain how that electric tail rotor motor came into being and how it's now widely being used throughout the industry. But that will be in my last video in this series, where I will go into full depth about it and the years of development and how that came about. Well, after all that experimenting and learning everything about tail rotors for the ETRM, I found by accident they didn't even really need a tail rotor at all. Well, this was at a time before gyros, and when helping those who were learning, I was seeing that people were really having great difficulty with the hover part, as I did when I started with the Mantis from American RC Helicopters. That was a 40-size nitro helicopter, and that's what I learned on with John Simone Jr. as my teacher. And since helicopters fly like airplanes, once in forward flight, I said, I'm going to make a forward flight helicopter for those who just want to fly. And after 2 years of experimenting, I finally got a flyable version. I called it a grasshopper semicopter in the beginning. Kyosho is the ones that decided to call it the Hyperfly. So I was doing business with Chun Park of High Tech RCD, Radio Control Development. They were in Santee, California, and I would drive down occasionally to get parts and servos. One day I decided to show Chun the prototype we built, and he really was impressed. So I made a videotape of it flying, and he took it to Japan, and he met with Kyosho. Aki Suzuki was the president at the time. Yes, that's the son of the famed Suzuki Corporation. Well, he said at the board meeting he showed the tape and the engineers just went nuts. They loved the idea. He said they couldn't believe how much control I had. So that said, they bought my ideas in a very honorable fashion, and we became good friends. Well, it took now almost another year before it actually became on the market. And years later, I was told that the Hyperflies were their top-selling model for 10 years, longer than any others. All the distributors here in the United States were doing well with them, but when Great Plains and Tower Hobbies decided to make a deal with Futaba to add their special radio, that did not help anybody in this country learn to fly helicopters, especially when we started putting speed controllers in it, which made it a lot easier to fly, as you're going to see.
This would have been much better because, first of all, you can hold it with one hand. This is your throttle back here, up and down, piece of cake, and fore and aft cyclic, left and right cyclic.
Which would have been perfect. It's just too bad it wasn't available yet. Chun just couldn't get it done in time, and so they made the deal with Futaba. And I heard most of the guys that were flying them, they kept the servos and receiver, but put their own 4-channel radio in there. The reason this was a big hit overseas is because they fly Mode 1, and I guess they were easier to adapt to that. But here in America, Mode 2, and you really need the stuff on the right stick. Since on any 4 or 6-channel helicopters, the cyclic controls are always on one stick. By putting them on 2 different sticks, you'd have to totally unlearn it to switch to a bigger helicopter, and that's why we disagreed with it.
Nobody could learn to fly a helicopter that way, fore and aft on this side. This is normally your pitch and tail rotor. This is left and right cyclic. It's just...
And these are just one flight after the other, and no pre-flights, no starting over, no test flights, no 10 takes. This is the one and only flight each. This is the Hyperfly Apache.
Now normally you would pull this switch down, the whisker switch, and that would start the motor wide open. And you just launch it. And when you come in to land it, when you feel like you're ready, you come in and you land it like an airplane. Piece of cake.
You see that whisker switch shuts it off and there's no damage. You're down.
And that's how that works. Man, hard to land flying into the sun. The Apache, I love that one.
And as always, thank you so much, Ilea, for the great video work. I know it's hard to follow me. And folks, there's just one more helicopter I want to fly one more time on my life. And yes, that's the Skylark EH-1. It was the very first electric production RC helicopter and the machine that I used to develop the first electric tail rotor motor. Well, thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe because more than likely you're going to enjoy that one. And if not, someone should probably take away your driver's license. Yeah, just kidding. No, please click the like button instead. Well, my history of the Hyperfly videos are all on my channel, so if you want to see more about that, check them out. This is Dave Herbert, the Night Flyer, and we'll see you then.